Hello, this is Sunil Sundaraj from njvarsity.rivals.com. Today, I'm happy to welcome in Dwight Morrow High School senior football player Jalen Hoyle, defensive back. Congratulations, Jalen, on your success there at Dwight Morrow High School. Committing to Virginia Tech. You signed your letter of intent last week. Can you just talk about your senior season and just, I guess also, just your entire career there at the high school?
Pretty much my career there was pretty smooth. My freshman year, I came in with like expectations of having to come in and play a little early. So my older brother was on the team, and a bunch of older guys just took me under their wings and just showed me the ropes and how I should be playing, how to practice and things like that. So then my sophomore year, I also got led by another D1 player, Jihad. So he took me under his wing, showed me the ropes. And then my junior year, it was kind of my time to take over the team and be the leader. So and then I stepped into that role. And then my senior year, this season was pretty much, it was just like, it gave you mixed emotions because you never know if the season was going to end, if you're going to be able to play next week. But our season went pretty smooth until the end. And then the end, we got on a 2-week quarantine, so it ended. But my high school career was pretty much fun. Like, I enjoyed it a lot.
That's great. I wanted to ask you, Jalen, from your freshman to your sophomore year, you made leaps and bounds. You saw that in the numbers. I just asking how your freshman year went, and then just what you did, where everything changed. Your sophomore year, and you just saw that rise. In the numbers.
My freshman year, I would say that was my first year, like, officially playing safety. So, like, that was my first year I really stepped in and had to play safety. I've been playing quarterback my whole life. So, my freshman year, I was just learning the position. I knew a little bit of it, but I didn't really know the ins and outs. But I learned the position pretty well. And that off season, every day at like 5 a.m. before school, I would wake up, go lift, run, and just after school, I would work on my skills, like my safety work. And I just did that every day, like the whole off season, every single day until the season came up. And then when the season came up, I was prepared.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is that in talking to other players that, there's never an off season. It's 24/7, 365. You're constantly training. And, there are players, I don't know if, you played other sports as well there, that it's, between, of course, academics and then athletics, it's taxing, but that's, the commitment you have to make. Again, if you want to be the best there is, and of course, the accolades, speak for themselves that, to reach that, that pinnacle, Jalen.
Yeah, definitely.
It said, the last couple of years you put up outstanding numbers. They've just been tremendous across the board. I wanted to, I guess, discuss on the offensive side of the ball as well, playing quarterback and then running the ball. I mean, you've been, not only the ability to pass the ball, but also run the ball as well. Can you just talk about that improvement, from sophomore, then, leading up, here following to your senior season?
Pretty much. I just feel like I got more confident in just running the ball and just being a little bit more confident. And I got like a little bit faster. So just from my sophomore, like all the way up to my senior year, I just gradually got faster and just bigger. So it was a little bit easier to break more tackles and things like that. But I've been playing quarterback my whole life, so running the ball and like throwing the ball, things like that, it was never too hard for me when I was in high school. It just took me a little bit more time to adjust to playing with people that might be 18, 19, and I'm 15 years old, 16 years old.
I wanted to ask you during like the summertime, as a quarterback, you wanted to develop that chemistry, that bond, like with your wide receivers, with your running backs, maybe even with the offensive line. Can you talk about that, as well, Jalen?
Pretty much. I've been playing our team. I've been playing with them since we've been kids.
Okay.
Like Varon, we've been playing since we were about 6 or 7, and then a few linemen we've been playing since we were like in 7th grade. So we all know each other and all the skills. We were all close friends, and we've been playing with each other since we were about 8 or 9. So we all grew up together in that whole team. My senior year, we've really all been playing with each other since we were kids. So. There was no like connection really because we grew up together, so we went through our ups and downs together.
Yeah, I want to ask you because every year you of course have guys who graduate, so and then you have underclassmen stepping up, to fulfill those roles or fill those roles.
Mhm.
As far as your offensive line, can you talk about every year and just the job they've done in protecting you,
Mhm.
opening up those holes, for you, in the running game as well, Jalen?
Yeah, they did a tremendous job just overall. Like I watched them like get better and better each year. Like I watched them just start to do like different things and just the way they communicate, just the way they've been talking the past few years, you could see them maturing and taking it a little bit more serious. And you just see them, feel like I seen them like grow up, like if that makes sense, like grow up
Mhm.
just being like great like football players and moving as one.
I was thinking that of the most pressured, our positions, on a football team. I think I last week I interviewed under Andrew Haas of Northern Highlands Regional, and I never interviewed a special teams player. But I think being a kicker, a punter, and then a quarterback. So I wanted to ask you, being able to handle those responsibilities because again, there's so much involved in it. And you have to coordinate on the field and have everybody, in sync. Can you just talk about that, Jalen?
I just feel like it was God given to me to just be a natural leader. Like anything I've always done, people just gradually just like look to me for an opinion and things like that. So I feel like that's just God given. And like just being on the field, I just feel like I know a lot of things. Like I feel like my IQ is very high. So if I feel like it's right and I know it, I'm always gonna be there for my brothers to help them along the way. So any question they have when they're on the field, it's like I'm a reflection of my dad on the field. So if they have a question real quick, I could tell them, here, and you
Yeah.
do your job.
As you mentioned, I mean, 2020, excuse me, has just been,
Yeah.
insane year. I mean, especially with this COVID-19 pandemic and not knowing if you guys were going to have a football season and being able
Yeah.
to play, I said, but as a senior, heading into this year, were there any goals that you had set for yourself personally? And then once you guys got that green light to practice and then you were able to take the field and then first game, what were some of the emotions just, flowing through you, as said Jalen?
Personally, me, my goals and like what I just expected from my senior year was just I just want to like in my city. There's been a lot of great athletes and a lot of great players that come out, but I
Mhm.
just wanted my name just to be in that category or be brought up when they talk about one of the few best people to come out of Inglewood. That was one of my main goals, and then to make all state, like all county and things like that.
Mhm.
That were a couple of my goals, and a big goal of mine was to stay healthy, because
Yeah.
like you got to stay healthy just to go into college, just at a higher level that get you to get me to where I want to go. And I
Yeah.
think our team goals was just to have the best record in Dwight Morrow history, and we accomplished that this year. Yeah,
I mean, the fact that you end on a winning note, play 6 games, you go 5-1. I mean, that had to feel really good, Jalen, knowing that, you ended, as said, your career on, with that type of, as said record.
yeah, definitely.
I mean, the numbers you put up, I mean, it said, I think altogether, I think it was 13 touchdowns. I mean, close to 700 yards passing, 700 yards rushing. I mean, to do it in that short amount of time, I mean, when you think back now and just what you were able to do, I mean, I just had to ask you how that felt and just putting those numbers up on a consistent basis.
Me personally, I felt like this year, like I feel like I dominated. So like in that aspect, I feel like I had a pretty good year. And then for the most part, it was really my teammates, because like my teammates aren't selfish, so they know whoever has the hot hand, we're gonna keep feeding them the ball.
Hmm.
So like a lot of the times, I probably had the hot hand, so they just kept feeding me, and like they never complained about it. I said he's running too much or he's not throwing the ball enough. Like so, yeah, I
Yeah.
just like to give it to my teammates to just like that.
Defensive side of the ball, you were just as dominant, Jalen. Can you talk about, again, you said playing in the safety position role, like, just what you enjoyed about that on the defensive side and just how, again, you were able to lock down, there.
This year, our head coach, my father, he put me in a different position that fitted me way better. So
Okay.
usually I played high in my past high schools. In my first 3 years, I played high safety, but this year I played more in the box. because I'm a little bit more bigger and physical.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I really dominated a lot this year, because I was playing a lot in the box. And me personally, I feel like if I get a big hit and set the tone early, my teammates are going to follow along right with me. So I
Great.
think that motivates me.
Yeah.
Things like that.
You mentioned you're coached by your father. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. You know, especially having that. You know, being on a team. You know, can you talk about these last 4 years and just not only your father being the head coach, but just the rest of the coaching staff as well, Jalen, and what they've meant to you?
Yeah, the coaching staff is very supportive. Like this year, our coaching staff was tremendous. Like anything that we faced, they were right there with us, and they stood 10 toes behind us always, and they always wanted to see us do good, no matter like what the outside people were saying, no matter like who was hating on us. They just made sure that mentally all the kids on the team were good, and that everybody just got to do, at least had opportunity to accomplish their personal goals.
Great. I just wanted to ask you about the support, from the school. I know that this year, again, remote, learning, but from the students, from your athletic director, the administration, and also even the town of Englewood, what, they have meant to the football team and to you personally, Jalen.
I appreciate them a lot. They supported us a lot this year. Even when we couldn't have fans, they were still outside on the gates supporting us. So like the support has been great, just with like signing day and things like that. Like say I'm walking to the store, it might be a random person that come up to me and say, "I seen you in the paper, congratulations." So the things like that, like it makes you feel good knowing that like you're getting recognized for what you do and what you love.
That's great. That's great. It said you signed your letter of intent last week, with Virginia Tech, proudly wearing it today. Can you talk about the process? I was read up a little bit about it that, there were a couple other schools in the mix, but, it said there's a great story, of course, your freshman year, it said posted the video on Twitter. Can you just talk about what made Virginia Tech, the difference maker, and it said decided to go there, Jalen?
First and foremost, they were the first school to genuinely reach out to me and wanted me for for me. Like before, it would be coaches reaching out because they see my older brother or things like that. So they would be like, "Oh, he might be just like his older brother." But Virginia Tech was the first school to reach out to me because they see my film and they like what I was doing. So like I just appreciated that a lot. And then when I went down to the campus, the coaching staff and just the environment and everything just like felt right. Like as soon as I stepped on campus and I was at the game, I was just picturing myself like on the field playing there, getting coached by Coach Fu, Coach Ham, and things like that.
I know they have a good connection with New Jersey players. What is that? Could be like knowing that there are going to be players in New Jersey. Said on that team your freshman year, Jalen.
It's gonna be great just knowing that like people come from the same area I come from. We could just connect and bond on things and just show like other people from coming from other places that like Jersey could ball to. Because at
Yeah,
the end of the day, I feel like Jersey is underrated a lot. So when we get there and we're at practice and stuff, I'm pretty sure we're gonna be joking around with people from other states and things like that,
yeah.
just showing them Jersey could ball.
No, you make a great point because everybody talks about Texas, Florida, California,
Yeah.
and it's great to see New Jersey, getting the due respect now. That's it's a good segue because I wanted to ask you about public high schools. I think a lot of they are underrated. I think they don't get the respect that they deserve. How good is it knowing that you guys have one of the best records, in the county here in North Jersey? And showing people that you guys, can play at that same, high level, exceptional level, Jalen.
It's big. Just because people feel like if you don't go private, you can't make it. That's not true. Because a bunch of people from my school this year are going to college. So that's probably more of us than any other schools are pretty much going to college. Things like that. And just like when we see other kids from private schools and camps and things like that, like they'll tell you like this public school like kids that could really ball. So it's just our option to stay home, or just some families might not be able to afford to send their kid to a private school and things like that. But just because they're not a private school doesn't mean they're not a great football player and they're not a great athlete.
Wanted to ask you about academics as well, because it's, being a student athlete, It's no joke. It's no walk in the park. It takes a lot of time. It's you have to really dedicate yourself to it. Just
Yeah.
wanted to ask you, your ability, to balance out, both, Jalen.
My parents are big on me, like on school and things like that, because they saying like your legs can't work forever, and your mind will always stay sharp as long as you keep it sharp. So like, there's been times where like my dad is like made me not go to practice because he knows I have to finish his schoolwork or things like that. So like, my parents are always pushing school first.
That's great. I wanted to talk about family. I know you mentioned your dad, but just your parents, and then if you have any, of course, you have siblings. Just what they've meant to you as far as supporting you. These, from when you were early, when you were young until now here in high school, Jalen.
Yeah, like my mom, she's always like been there for me. So like whenever I was like having a bad year or a bad game, she was just there to pick me up, like pick up my spirit and things like that. So I
Mhm.
know whenever I'm having a problem, I could go talk to her about anything. And just like my older brother just shown me that like people from public school can make it. Like my brother was like, I seen it firsthand because we live in the same home. So seeing him just go to college and do it, like it motivated me.
Yeah, good role model,
Yeah.
definitely. I wanted to ask you what makes the game of football so special
To
for you?
me,
Yeah.
makes it special is just me personally, I like the fact that I could go out there and I could just dominate somebody every play. Like I have the opportunity to just dominate you every play.
Mhm.
And when I dominate you every play, just knowing the fact that like I I put in so much work and it just shows. So it's like you just doing like a bunch of working out and things like that. And then when the lights come on and it shows, it's just like a good feeling to you. So like scoring touchdowns, making big plays, it just feels so good because you're like, I don't put in all this work and it's finally showing. So that's just what's so special about it to me.
Yeah. And I had to ask you, also about that Dwight Morrow, jersey, putting on that football jersey, and first time you put it on, and what it represented to you. And then, final game, it said final home game. And it just, you can just describe those, various experiences, Jalen.
My first time putting on a Dwight Morrow jersey, it was kind of scary to me because I was a freshman. I was only 14, and
Yeah.
like everybody else on the field was like pretty much seniors and juniors, so they're 18, 17.
Yeah.
I was just like a scrawny little kid, and like I'll never forget my first play. The play came right to me, and I came down and I got juked like bad, and he went, and like the crowd was like ooh, but in the next play I came right back and I hit him hard, and then
Yeah.
like I just showed people that I could do it, and then to my senior year I just showed it was just a good feeling just to put on the jersey one last time for like my city, just
Yeah.
to show them that like how I gradually grew up, like so my city could watch me grow from being a freshman to a scrawny kid on the field to just being the dominant player that I am today.
I had to ask you, I was on maxpreps.com. Did you, I don't know, in there, they had one column where it said 100 plus yards. Now, I don't know if that's like, with touchdowns, if you had those, or, I just was curious about that, Jalen. Or,
But you asked if I had 100 plus
yeah,
yards.
100, like, on a touchdown, if you had that. I was just curious.
Oh yeah, I had a long interception this year, and I had a lot of long runs.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. Like, just that. I mean, that must be exhilarating when you're able to, you've seen plenty of highlights, plenty of other players do it. But when you're able to do that, rip that type of, run off, what is that, just the adrenaline rush, there, Jalen?
It just feels good. Like after you just do that long run, you're just going crazy. You're celebrating with your teammates and
Yeah.
things like that. And it's just like when you see it on TV on the NFL, college football, you look at it and you're like, it's kind of funny because I could do the same thing he just did.
Yeah.
It's like it's funny, but it's like a good feeling just
Yeah.
knowing that like you could do it too.
That's great. I was wondering if they're both, offensively, and then of course on the defensive side of the ball, whether it's in college or the pros, that any players that you've tried to sort of, model your game after, take away any, like, tidbits, any nuggets away that, and sort of apply it to your game, Jalen.
Growing up, I watched Cam Newton a lot. Like if you
Okay.
were around me, I was a huge Cam Newton fan. So Cam Newton, I really watched him a lot. And then as I started playing safety more, I started watching a lot of Jamal Adams. So I like his game a lot.
Yeah,
And I like Tre'Davious White from the Bills. I like his game a lot too.
that's great. I can't thank you enough for the time, Jalen. I just have one more. Is that growing up, playing the sport. Oh, this is what I wanted to get to. If there are any other sports that you had played, whether it was in high school or when you were growing up as well, Jalen.
I ran track in high school, and
Okay.
I played basketball, track. I played soccer too. I didn't play like for an actual team, but I played soccer like a lot. Like I would wake up every day and just play soccer a lot. So yeah, and I played baseball or something too. So I
That's
played
great.
pretty
So,
much.
so when did you know that football was it? This is what I want. I'm passionate about. That I want to continue. High school,
Uh,
college.
it kind of like played out itself. 'Cause I played all the other sports, and I just wasn't as good in the other sports as I was in football. But like I knew if I put the time in any other sport, I would be good in it too. 'Cause I just see myself as an athlete. Like I don't want to just label myself as like I only play football. Because if I go to play basketball and actually put the time in and put the work in, I feel I could be good in that too.
Mhm.
So I just feel like it played out itself, and I just put more of my time into football, just coming from a football family.
It's great. I wanted to ask you is that being a senior, you were able to pass down, of course, your experiences, your knowledge to the underclassmen. And I'm
Mhm.
just wondering, like, what that was to come full circle, as you said, when you were, a freshman, how daunting it was, and being able to fit in, and you eventually were able to do that and succeed at it. What you were able to do in your senior year, Jalen.
I feel like I just showed the younger guys. Like I didn't really say too. I did say a little bit, but I just wanted to show them how to do it. Cause somebody could tell you something, how to do something, but they're not showing it to you. You're not gonna really believe it. So in the games when I'm just making plays and doing that, and we on the sideline, they congratulate me. I'm like, all right, now it's your turn. Like it's your turn to go make a play. And we're in those big games, close games. I'm like, come on, like this is your time. This is where you make a name for yourself. And that's what the older guys did for me. And just with like coverages and plays and things like that, I try to break it down to them in the simplest way because sometimes a coach might say it and it might not register to a player, but when somebody like their peer says it to them, they might just listen to it a little bit more or just hear it easier.
That's great. Final question is that there are a lot of younger kids, and you were there,
Yeah.
trying to figure out football is, the sport to, play
Mhm.
and working their way up the ladder, playing, Pee Wee, Junior. I'm wondering what your message is to those younger kids. You see them, a lot of kids at football games. Um, just wondering what your advice would be to them.
Uh, just put the work in and don't get caught up in social media and accolades. Like
Yeah.
like a lot of kids nowadays, young kids, they see people going to college, getting offered from like my community, and they
Mhm.
feel like, oh, it's easy. All I gotta do is just go to practice, things like that. Like people that get scholarships on our team and things like that, like we go and put in work in at the field and all the time with each other. Like we know like we're working a lot. So just don't play the game for offers and for accolades and just so you just look good. Like do it because you're passionate about it. But if you're not passionate about it, go find something that you are passionate about.
Sounds good. Hey, Jalen, you're a class act. I said representing. I said Dwight Morrow Englewood High School. Town of Englewood and Bergen County proudly, and especially your family, and wishing you all the best. On graduating, and then of course attending Virginia Tech. And thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.